Okay, so I suppose to introduce myself, my name is Jayson Moore. I'm a psychologist who specializes in helping entrepreneurs and professionals move forward, deal with challenging situations. I'm really all about getting results and effectiveness. So I help people with things like the work-life balance, happiness, managing relationships at work, deciding and planning the future, or overcoming psychological barriers like confidence or motivation or stress. So really what I'm all about, I suppose, is the psychology of performance development and well-being. And that was the idea behind setting up the Practical Psychology Meetup. So you'll see a link in the chat there if you do want to join the meetup if you're not a member already. The next two meetups are, but I don't feel like doing it, it's a behavior change workshop in person on June 11th. Again, there's links there to register. And the next free one is on June 20th. We just launched this today, and it's called Fighting Better with a coach from New York called Rich Haler. So tonight's speaker is the wonderful Calodagh McCumiskey. So Calodagh is formerly an aid worker for 14 years in disaster zones, so places like Angola, Ethiopia, East Timor, and Swaziland. So she knows a little bit about handling herself in difficult situations. And Calodagh started a company called Spiritual Earth in 2012 to help people reach their potential. And the company provides well-being courses to corporate clients and SMEs and NGOs and schools in Ireland. And really what she's all about is helping people to boost their well-being and effectively manage their stress. So without further ado, I shall hand you over to Calodagh. Thanks very much.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'm delighted to be here. Huge thank you to the awesome Jayson Moore for inviting me to speak about one of my favorite topics, which is meditation. Just like to check in with the group. Does anybody already meditate? Do you use it as a resource that on a regular basis? Maybe if you want to pop something in the chat. Anybody who meditates regularly? Presumably you're here because you're interested in meditation. Never tried. Okay, brilliant. Well, I'm delighted, Susan, that you've honored that you've come to try this evening. That's fantastic. You'd like to make it part of your routine. Okay. Okay, lovely, Mandy, yeah. And you found it a life changer. Okay, brilliant, Jenny, yeah. Get distracted easily. Okay, so some of you have tried, but all of you have at least some interest, and some of you are already regular practitioners. So as Jayson was saying, I did aid work, and I did it from 95 to 2008. And during that time, it was working in lots of different war zones, and in crazy types of situations. And I suppose I accumulated a lot of stress, a lot of stress. And when I stopped, I realized it wasn't at the time that I realized I was stressed, but when I stopped, I realized I was. And somehow or other, I'd lived in India for 4 years at that time, and I practiced yoga and whatever, but somehow or other, and when I came back to Ireland in 2008, I had this idea that meditation would help me, and it did. And it's changed my life enormously, and for the better. And some of the benefits, Jayson mentioned them in the notice for this event. It helps you alleviate stress, it helps you focus, develop willpower, it improves your memory, it improves your sleep, it improves the quality of your relaxation, it helps in pain relief, it helps balance blood pressure. It has many benefits. So this evening, what we're going to talk about, you're going to experience just very briefly 4 different types of meditation, just a couple of minutes each. I'll share a little bit about how it's helped me, the difference that I've seen it make in other people's lives, and then also you can ask questions. Okay, so what is meditation? There's no PowerPoint, I'm just doing it like this, yeah. You can have your cameras on or off, whatever you're comfortable with. If your situation allows to have the camera on, do, but if you're more comfortable off, that's fine too. But sometimes people are more likely to engage if the camera is on. Okay. So what is meditation? So meditation is just focused awareness on something. So we could focus our awareness on a dot on the wall, on our breath, on a sound, on the wind. We could make a mantra. There's so many different things that we could focus our awareness on. And what happens is that when we focus our awareness on something neutral and balancing, that has the effect of bringing us to balance. And what is balance? Balance is the antidote to stress. So the more times during the day that we can bring ourselves to balance, we can then live a more balanced life. Yeah. And when we're in balance, we make better choices. We use the resources that we have at our disposal in a much more productive and constructive way. It has so many benefits. Yeah, we get things done in the easiest way. We burn the least amount of energy in achieving things. Many of you might have heard of the term mindfulness. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is just a practice of paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment. And judgment, I suppose, is an important word, because judgment, whenever we have judgment, tension arises in the body. Yeah, once I'm pointing the finger or judging myself or judging other people, you'll notice that tension naturally arises in the body. And so obviously, when we're trying to de-stress, we're trying to not have tension arise in the body to accumulate. Yeah. So meditation and mindfulness, one is focused awareness on something, and the other is paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment. So they're quite similar. They can look quite similar. There's an overlap. And the Irish Army and groups like that, they have a strategy of making all of their soldiers mindful soldiers. And they're doing it for three principal reasons. Yeah. First is performance enhancement, because when I can focus on my breath or a sound or whatever it is I'm doing, I'm training myself to focus in my daily life. Yeah. So if I can focus on what I'm doing, I can get it done quicker and better. So as a result, performance enhancement. Effective stress management, because if I can just simply bring my focus back to whatever's in front of me, or even focus on my breath, what will happen is I'm bringing my system back to balance. I'm not in the past, or I'm not in the future. They say that anxiety comes from too much or an unhealthy focus on the future. Depression comes from an unhealthy focus or too much focus on the past. And so a balanced, healthy, mindful life is about living in the present moment. We can only experience joy in the present moment. We can only be productive in the present moment. We can only connect in the present moment. People who live in the present moment more are generally happier. There's a lot of evidence-based studies that people who are grounded in reality and connected to what they're actually doing in real time are happier, and obviously they're more productive. Happiness comes when there's an alignment, yeah, when our head, heart, and hands are working together. That's what brings happiness broadly in life. And what happens when we meditate is we become aware of how we are aligned, what's aligned. We become more self-aware. So we're aware of what's working, and we also become more aware of maybe what's not working in our lives. We become aware of, the disharmony, the areas, what we're stressed about. Yeah. So one of the first benefits of meditation, the first fruits of meditation, is self-awareness. And if you look at all successful people, what do they have in common? The one attribute that successful people have in common is that they're self-aware. Yeah, they know their strengths, and they also know maybe their growth areas. That's why they know to surround themselves with other people that can complement their weaknesses, that can support them, so that they can be more all-rounders in what they do. Yeah. So being self-aware is really, really valuable. Yeah. Meditation helps us to be grounded in reality. I was speaking there about success. Happiness comes when we're head, heart, and hands are working together, but success comes when we're grounded in reality and confident, when we're aware of what's happening. We're present to what's happening. And meditation aids in us being grounded in reality, yeah, so that we're just in the present, because it aids, it supports a process of self-development, self-awareness, self-understanding, which is a precursor, I suppose, to self-growth, yeah. So it has many benefits. If you'd met me, 15 years ago, before I started meditating, I started in 2009, and more seriously in 2010, I came across a form of mantra meditation, which I'll introduce you to this evening. And before I started meditation, my head was a bit like a washing machine, it was just always, churning on to the next thing. If I was actually working, I would be focused on what I was doing. But if in my personal life, if I was doing this, I thought I should be doing that. And if I was doing that, I thought I should be doing this. And when we think like that, all of that prevents us from being present. If I'm here and I think I should be somewhere else, then I'm neither here nor there. Half of me is fighting, yeah. And when I'm fighting myself in that way, I'm generating more stress. Okay, so we're going to start off now, and we're going to do just a little bit of a breathing practice. Yeah. So this is one type of meditation. So what I'm inviting all of you to do is to just put one hand on your chest and one on your stomach. So this will just be a minute or so, right? And I want you to just close your eyes. And I want you to just focus on the feeling of your tummy rising and falling as you breathe in and out. And if your mind is still busy, wondering why are we doing this, or in the past or the future, I want you to give your mind a job. And the job that you're going to give your mind is to say, as you're breathing in, I am breathing in, just quietly in your mind. And as you breathe out, I am breathing out. So just all the time, breathing in and out according to your own natural breathing rhythm. So just, I am breathing in, I am breathing out. If the mind wanders, no problem. As soon as you notice it wandering, I want you to just bring yourself back to the here, to the now, to the body, to the breath, to the feeling of your tummy rising and falling. And to the I am breathing in, I am breathing out. So we're going to come back to the room in a moment or so. I want you to just notice, just check in with yourself. Did your mind slow down? Did you even move from fourth gear to third or to second? Just notice the effect of that practice. And now whenever you feel ready, just come back to the room, open your eyes. Would any brave person like to comment? And you can unmute yourself if you'd like to participate, or even just pop something in the chat. How was that? Did it make a difference? Did your mind slow down? Feel free to, it's a small group, so feel free to unmute or whatever is comfortable. Don't all rush me.
Yeah, no, I found it very good. I felt that I did actually, because I've had a tough day. So I did actually find I really relaxed. I did just felt calmer.
Fantastic. Okay. And are you new to meditation, Claire?
Over the years, I'm not consistent. I'm good some weeks, and other weeks then it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Okay, that's brilliant, Claire. Thank you. There's just 2 comments in the chat. I'm going to read them. The breathing exercise is one of the best ways to just calm down. Yeah. I agree, Jacqueline. And it did slow down, but I had to work on keeping the thoughts on breathing and being present. Okay. So what I would say is really good. Even like you just did that for a minute or so, right? So, you know, habits take a while to build. Yeah. You know, young children, toddlers or whatever, it takes them, babies, it takes them 4,000 attempts to learn to sit up straight. Yeah. So we've all mastered that one. We've all learned to sit up straight. And 4,000 attempts is a lot. What I find sometimes as adults, we expect to be able to do things perfectly the first time. But when we're trying to ingrain new patterns, new habits, it takes just as long as it takes. Yeah. And some days are easier than others. Yeah. Sometimes whatever it is, whether it's the cosmos or what's going on in our own lives or whatever, some days are harder and some days are easier to feel more chilled and to more feel focused. But practice genuinely does make perfect. I had one client before, and this is just one example. I often teach this practice to people because it can be just a massive game changer for people. And so a guy came to me and he was self-employed, he had 20 staff, busy, 2 kids, busy life, lots of stress. And at the time he was sleeping maximum 3 hours in a row at night. Yeah, so he would stay in bed for 6 hours, but maximum 3 hours consecutive sleep. And he did this breathing practice 3 or 4 times a day, yeah, for I think around 16 days. And after 16 days, he actually slept for over 6 hours in a row. And his sleeping pattern transformed. His sleeping pattern transformed, number one, and obviously he felt better and all of that. But the other really nice thing that he shared to me, the other lovely result he got was he had the patience to help his 8-year-old daughter do her homework. Yeah. And, you know, that was a good game changer in terms of their bonding and the connection that they had together. Whereas before, if, you know, she was anxious doing certain maths homework and other homework that she didn't really like, and he had the patience to do that. Yeah. So you're very welcome, Mary. You're very welcome, everybody. It's great to have you all here. Okay. So what I would say is with that, if you had any positive experience with it, even if you moved from 4th gear to 3rd gear, or moved down a few miles in the that's enough. It's working for you. Just do it more often. What I've also found, different types of practices suit different people. So this evening we'll be doing 4 different practices. So you might connect more easily with some than others, right? And you know, some people, I think movement is more important. Different types of practices suit different moods and suit different mindsets. Yeah. And sometimes some of us need to be fired up, some of us need to be cooled down. You know, different practices are relevant in different people's lives. Okay. If you do have questions, just feel free to pop them in the chat there, and we will, at the end, we'll have more time for questions, but feel free to pop them in there, and I'm definitely keeping an eye on that as we move forward in the evening. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit of movement. Remember what I said, meditation is just focusing our awareness on something. So now we are going to do some movement that we coordinate with the breath. So what I want you to do is put your elbows together here, yeah, and so inhaling, opening, and exhaling, closing. So imagine, so keeping your eyes closed, imagine like you're drawing a circle with your elbow as a pen, and you're trying to draw the biggest circle possible. And try and have slow, steady, rhythmic breathing and movement, and coordinating the movement with the breath. So inhaling, opening, and exhaling, closing. So slow, steady, rhythmic breathing and movement. Inhaling, opening, and exhaling, closing your chest. So using the full round and one cycle of a breath. Inhaling, opening, and exhaling, closing. Inhaling, opening, and exhale, close. And inhaling one more, inhaling, opening, and exhaling, close. Okay, great. And now we're going to go the other direction. So same starting point. And if you have sore neck or shoulders and you can't do it, just imagine that you're doing it, or do it to a lesser kind of a degree. So opening, breathing in, and exhaling there. So breathing in and out through the nose, provided that that's comfortable for you. And inhaling, opening the chest, and exhaling, closing. Inhaling, opening, and exhaling, closing. So the mind, the body, and the breath are all one. You know, the definition of the word yoga is union. Union of what? Union of mind, union of body, union of breath. And inhaling, opening, one more, yeah. And exhale. Okay, so now we're going to actually just do some neck rotations, yeah. So just dropping your neck forward, yeah, and then inhaling, opening the neck. And exhaling. And inhaling, opening, bringing the neck back. And as we bring the neck forward, exhaling. So again, one round, one breath cycle. Inhaling, opening, and exhaling. So again, mind, body, and breath all working together. When the mind and the body and the breath work like this, that facilitates our head, that facilitates alignment in life. Inhaling, opening, and okay. And now we're going to go, when you finish that one, we're going to go the other direction. So dropping the neck forward and then inhaling, opening the neck, and exhaling, closing. Inhaling, opening, and exhaling, closing. And inhaling, opening, and exhaling, closing. And inhaling, opening, and exhaling, closing. Okay, very good. And just be still, be centered. Notice the effect of that practice on you. Now I want you to just have a good stretch, just arms up in the air. Stretch, 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 stretch. Yeah. Okay. And release. Yeah. And rub your palms together. Generate lots and lots of heat. Keeping your eyes closed. Yeah. And cover your eyes with the palms of your hands, and then just pat your body down. Come back to the room, come back to the practice. So Samir, you put something in from earlier from the last practice. I started listening to Headspace meditation playlist when I go to bed, and it certainly say the quality of sleep improved drastically. Excellent. Yeah, brilliant. One of my free gifts for all of you, after Jayson will send it out to you tomorrow, it's a 12-minute yoga nidra relaxation practice. And some people say they get really good benefits out of that. It aids in getting to sleep, but it also aids in the quality of the sleep. It makes your sleep more restorative and rejuvenative so that you wake up refreshed. Yeah. So what did you feel about the I call it mindful movement. Somebody else might call it yoga or whatever, right? But it's what happens when we do that type of a practice. The mind, the body, and the breath are all working together. And in yoga, we say when the mind and the body and the breath, the mind and the body are together, the breath is the bridge to the soul. So the soul is just the deepest part of ourselves. Yeah. It's our true north. Yeah. It's our, the highest aspect, dimension of ourselves. So how did you find the movement? Were you able to, did that resonate more with you? Were you able to slow down, concentrate? Do you feel more relaxed from it? How was it? And feel free to unmute or pop something in the chat there. Okay, Mandy, that was easier to stay present. Okay, really good. Yeah.
Just want to say, Calodagh, I've had to rage all day about something. And that is, I've been trying to force myself to get over it all day. And the anger genuinely has dissipated. That was pretty amazing. Cool. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, that's great. Really great. Yeah. I believe meditation is one and yoga is slightly dizzy, okay, is number two. So generally what happens when we normally in an order of practice, if you're sitting down and you want to do 10 or 15 minutes meditation or whatever, it often helps to do the movement first. Yeah, so do 2 minutes of movement to ground yourself, to anchor yourself. Yeah, because that it's grounding, it brings you into the present moment. Yeah. So do some movement and then go into your meditation, whatever that is. Yeah. Some people will feel they don't need the movement, but just a few little stretches to get the creaks out of the body. The dizziness, what I would say is sometimes after meditation, don't rush around, give yourself a couple of minutes to steady yourself after it. It's more just when we clear the head, sometimes it can feel like it's maybe dizzying, but it's just, I think it's something deeper that's actually happening, but just don't rush up afterwards is what I would say. Another reason, I suppose, to meditate, just to explain, does anybody have any question or have anything to say? You can unmute. I'll keep talking otherwise, but if you do, add it into the chat there. One of the reasons I often have different metaphors for why it's valuable, why it's important to meditate. And one of them is, if I was cooking dinner today, this evening, or when I'm cooking dinner, if I use the pot from yesterday without cleaning it to cook my food today, how will the food taste? Yeah. I've had different answers, but most people would agree is not so good. Some people say it might add to the flavor and whatever, right? But it won't be as fresh. Okay. If I use the pot from last week without cleaning it to cook my food today, the food will be more or less poisonous, right? And, we don't do that because it seems ridiculous, right? To ask even such a question. But with our minds, we do this. We bring yesterday's problems, we bring last week's problems, we bring last month's problems into today. Very often we never close the files. Yeah. So it's really, really important to have it's really, really important to have a fresh perspective, a fresh way of bringing a fresh viewpoint to things. The way, if I have a desk and there's 40 files open on it, yeah, I won't be able to focus on one thing and get the work done. But equally, very often we have 40 files open in our head. And as a result, that affects our focus. Yeah, we don't actually close them. We don't. So we don't start anything fresh and new. Yeah. If we want to be able to work as productively as possible, it's important to be able to close the files. So sometimes, so just say I'm here, or just say this evening, 5 minutes before the session this evening, I didn't, but it could happen that I could have got a text from somebody with a problem. And I could allow that problem to affect my ability to concentrate here. Or I could kind of say to myself, right, I'll deal with that at 9 o'clock tonight. Yeah. I make a date with myself. So, because if we have problems, it's important to not allow them to contaminate all the other good areas of our lives. Yeah. And how do we do that is we learn how to close the files, and then we're able to bring a freshness, a clarity to whatever it is that we're doing. If you use that method of, just making a date with yourself, it's important that you actually do follow up with yourself and address that situation at 9 o'clock. And then that will, then you'll be able to rely on yourself. Yeah. So if I ever have problems that I can't deal with, I know, okay, I'll phone Jayson. Maybe Jayson can help, and I'll make a plan to phone him in the morning, or, whatever it is, right? Or phone Jenny or whatever. So it's important to have strategies when things are bothering you, and to follow up, and then to not allow things, I suppose, just take over. I used to, before I started meditating, if I had a problem, I would just think about it constantly, but in actual fact, that's contrary to, I suppose, how the mind works. The highest form of thinking is intuition. And our intuition only works when our mind is not focused on the problem. So that's why sometimes people will have a fresh idea after a night's sleep, or a shower, or something, or another meeting about something else, or going to the bathroom, or whatever, right? So it's really, really important to, I suppose, understand how the mind works. I'm going to give a few other explanations. And Mary, yeah, happy to talk about your situation now or afterwards, no problem. Jayson will put my details in the chat there. Okay, so in terms of the mind, our mind can be our best friend or our worst enemy. Do you agree? Right? And our thoughts are the building block of our lives: thought, word, action, habit, character, destiny. So if we want to change our life, it starts with changing our thoughts. I think more important than just thoughts, though, is our attitude. Zig Ziglar has a quote. He said, it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that determines your altitude. So it's the attitude that we bring to things. It's not necessarily our intelligence or our skills that determine how far we go in life. It's the attitude that we have. Do we have a can-do attitude? And mind-wise, they say it takes 3 positive thoughts to neutralize 1 negative. Yeah. So if I watch current affairs programs about housing for 30 minutes, 10 o'clock at night, it'll take me for 30 minutes, it'll take me an hour and a half of pure positivity to neutralize that, to recover from that. Yeah. We can only handle so much stress. So we have to, I suppose, be cautious, be mindful for how much we consume and how much we generate. I would say that there's 3 types of stress. There's healthy stress. Healthy stress is the kind of stress that grows us. When we learn from situations, it's a healthy stress. Is it possible to live a stress-free life? I would say no, because if I wanted to have a stress-free life, I wouldn't take on any learning or any new responsibility, and then life would be boring, and that would be a stress in itself. Okay, so there's always going to be a certain amount of stress involved when we learn something new, or when we take on new responsibilities. And most of it, we have these different human needs, and our higher level human needs are for contribution, which for making a difference, and for growth. And so when we have those needs, that would bring us into a certain amount of stressful situations. Yeah. So, but that's healthy stress. The second type of stress is what I would call self-inflicted toxic stress. So that's the stress that I generate through my thoughts or my habits, or my actions or even inactions. Yeah. Sometimes we can procrastinate. Jayson does a phenomenal workshop on procrastination. I got a lot from it there a few weeks ago. I'd highly recommend participating in that and any of his workshops, actually. So there's the unhealthy stress. So that could be Calodagh thinking negatively, or Calodagh not drinking enough water, or drinking too much alcohol or too much coffee or whatever. So thoughts or actions or habits can generate stress or not. And so, you know, there's different areas of our life, different areas of well-being. You're wondering why I'm talking about maybe stress, because meditation is an amazing tool to help rebalance us after stress. Yeah. And it also gives us an awareness of how we're stressing ourselves. So how we're adding to our problems and how we can solve our problems. So I always say that there's two parts to meditation. One is to do the practice, and the other is to put into practice what your practice is telling you to do. So if I meditate for 20 minutes a day and I get an insight, you know, that I'm having the same argument with my partner every day, you know, or every Friday. Yeah. Or, you know, I've had the same problem with my last partner as I am with this partner, or my kids and myself always arguing about the same thing, etc. And, you know, sometimes we'll get those realizations whether we're meditating or not, but they'll become more clear. And when we're meditating, we might, because meditation is a great tool to help you step back. And because it enables you to step back, that also gives you the possibility to step up. So I was saying, it's to do your practice, it's to do your 5 minutes or your 10 minutes or your 2 minutes or whatever it is each day, and then to put into practice. So if I get an insight, okay, I have to address this problem, then I have to take action around that. So that's the putting into practice. Yeah. So, you know, I think meditation is a phenomenally good tool for anybody looking to solve their problems or to grow themselves, because it gives you that awareness. And with that, it also just gives you a balance, and it also gives you courage. Because when you get steady in yourself, you start to realize, okay, I've been worried about this for the last 3 days or the last 5 days. And you see that, and you kind of go, okay, well, I better just have that conversation, right? You know, you start to see where you're running from yourself, and it starts to, I suppose, the ridiculousness of the avoidance games that we play with ourselves comes right to the surface. Yeah, okay. So we're going to do another one. We've got 2 more practices to do. So we're going to do a very short mini yoga nidra, a body scan, okay? And I have a longer one that I'm giving out to you that you'll have to practice yourself. But we're just going to do just a short 2-minute one. So I want you to just close your eyes. And I want you to just follow my voice. You don't need to do anything, just follow my voice. So initially, just tell your mind to leave aside all other thoughts of your day and your life. So just following my voice, say, as I speak to you, I want you to speak to yourself and to speak to the different parts of your body. I relax my feet. So just focusing on your feet as you breathe in and out. I relax my ankles. Focusing on your ankles as you inhale and as you exhale. I relax my calves, focusing on your calves as you breathe in and as you breathe out. I relax my knees, focusing on your knees as you inhale and as you exhale. I relax my thighs, focusing on your thighs as you breathe in and as you breathe out. I relax my hips, focusing on your hip area as you inhale and as you exhale. I relax my lower back, focusing on your lower back area as you breathe in and as you breathe out. I relax my middle back, focusing on your middle back area as you breathe in and as you breathe out. I relax my upper back, focusing on your upper back area as you breathe in and as you breathe out. I relax my shoulders, focusing on your shoulders as you inhale and exhale. I relax my scalp, my jaw, my cheeks, my forehead. Feel the softening coming into your face, the peace, the kind attention, the self-compassion. As you become more into the present and you let the worries of the day disappear, dissolve. Now I want you to just check in. How are you? How are you feeling? I'm feeling even a little bit more relaxed. And I want you to just notice if there's any part of your body that has aches or pains or a little bit of tension. And if there is, I want you to just focus on that area as you breathe in and out. Breathing in fresh oxygen, vitality. And on the exhale, just letting go of stress, tension, aches, pains, the past, tiredness. I want you to just notice, how is the pain? Is it the same? Has anything happened to the pain or the tension or the stress? We're going to come back to the room now within the next 20, 30 seconds. So just bring your awareness back to your tummy, focusing on the tummy as you breathe in and out. In your mind as you breathe in, I'm breathing in. And as you breathe out, I'm breathing out. And now whenever you feel ready, just come back to the room, open your eyes. I just like to take feedback on that. How was that? Did you slow down? Did you relax? So this is called Yoga Nidra. It's awakened sleep. And so it's believed to be more, it is actually, more restorative than sleep. Yeah, okay, great. Relaxing, there you go. Okay, so there's a 12-minute recording of one of those that will go out to you from Jayson. And it enables people to sleep much better, to get to sleep, and also to experience a better quality of sleep. Yeah. One of the problems I would see is that we don't relax enough. You know, we're always on social media, digital stuff, you know. Nobody gets up in the morning and says, I want to spend 6 hours today on my phone, and yet we do that. Yeah. And we need to, when we do a practice like that, what happens is our senses turn entirely inwards. Yeah. And when the senses are turned inwards like that, in the same way that you plug the phone in and the phone recharges, when your senses turn inwards like that, it has the feeling and the effect of you recharging. So, you know, meditation, relaxation, mindfulness, breathing, all of these things, they're all in the same family of meditation. And what I would say is, you know, there'll be different practices that suit different people, but it's important to find one that suits you. You know, there's lots of even guided meditations. There's so many things. Just to highlight, I myself teach meditation, and tomorrow a link will go out. If you go to my website, you can read a little bit about me, my meditation classes. But I teach on a Monday and a Wednesday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. and a Sunday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. So if anybody'd like to come along, it's very affordable, the classes. So yeah, you're welcome to get in touch and sign up, or come along and try a class as well. So we do a variety of different practices. We've about 9 minutes left, okay? And I'm conscious that we will finish on time. Time is precious. And we're going to do one more practice before we finish. But does anybody have any questions about meditation? I'd be happy to take some. Yes, Claire, please.
Yeah, I just have one question. Did I take this down right? Our intuition only works when our minds are free. Is that right?
Yeah, your intuition. So your intuition will only work when your mind isn't focused on the problem. Yeah. Okay. When your mind, you know, it's engaged in something else. Yeah. Okay. So for example, you know, just say I have an argument with somebody, or a disagreement or whatever with a colleague at work. Okay. And I'm thinking about that the whole time, right? I'm not actually going to get the solution. To get the solution, what I need to do is just get involved in something else, or go for a walk, you know, do something else. And then my mind, my intuition will kick in with the best idea, the best solution. So a break from a problem, you're more inclined to solve the problem when you're not actually focusing on it.
Okay, yes. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Claire. Anybody else got questions or comments? I've come to take, I gave a talk earlier on today, and there was 75 people at it, right? And I sometimes say this, I've come to take when people don't ask questions after doing a meditation as a compliment, because normally it means that their minds are more steady and more relaxed. Yeah. Maybe I'm fooling myself, but sometimes I say that to myself anyway. So do people have questions or comments? Or what I would say is, it takes a lot of courage to meditate, okay? Because when you sit down, you know, we all want to do it, and we know that it's a good thing to do. But if I sit down in silence, everything that I'm running away from, every problem that I don't want to address shows up, okay? And that's really probably one of the reasons that we don't do it. It's that, and also just this, you know, the ego inertia. We always want everything to kind of remain the same. So very often meditation challenges us, right, to see ourselves. And that is a challenge to be and to do better. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, change is hard. Yeah. And even though we want it, even though it improves the quality of our lives, it does pose a challenge. It is a challenge for us. So what I would say is that it does take courage to sit with yourself. But what happens is, if you do it 4 days in a row, what happens is that you actually, you start to get more clear, and you start to get courageous. You start to kind of go, okay, 4 days in a row, I've thought about this situation. maybe I should look at it. Yeah. And you get the courage then to take action, to see it differently, to revisit it. Just maybe a few tips. I've been meditating on a daily basis since 2009, May 2009, and it's absolutely the best thing I've ever done for myself. It's the best gift that I've ever given to myself, because it's a gift that keeps on giving. And I think many of us, certainly before I meditated, I didn't really see life. I didn't see myself as I was. I would see myself either too harshly. I would be very hard on myself, or I'd be too easy on myself. And I kind of hovered between the two, of kind of coasting along, being easy on myself, not being serious with myself, or else being ridiculously hard on myself. Yeah. And neither of those are effective ways or effective perspectives for growth and transformation. Yeah. So meditation gives you the ability to just, when you sit with yourself more honestly and clearly, you develop the ability to just realize that's ridiculous. I'm seeing myself through rose-tinted glasses, or through, very negative tinted glasses. But the reality of life is something different. I'm imperfect. We're all imperfect. We're all doing our best on some level, and there's plenty of scope for all of us to improve. And every day is a new day. Yeah. So, success comes, I said earlier, success comes when you're grounded in reality. And being grounded in reality is seeing things as they are. I understand that reality can look different from different places. If I'm sitting here or you're sitting over there, we're seeing a slightly different view of the world. However, having a realistic view of ourselves and of situations, then our energy, whatever energy we have, that gets directed into progressing, to solving our problems, to doing whatever it is we want to do. Whereas if we're too hard on ourselves, what happens is we create tension in the body. And if we're too easy on ourselves, we don't take responsibility when we need to, and we don't grow in situations. So meditation facilitates a balance in both, because it brings you to a place of balance, so you can see yourself from a more balanced perspective. Yeah. Any other questions? So Jayson will also share out my details and all of that. And so please do get in touch, or stay in touch, or come along to meditation or whatever. But what I would say is, every time you come to something like this, maybe you learn one thing, right? And if you've learned from something from tonight, whether it's to do the 1 minute practice, or that you want to try meditation, you want to go back to a practice you experienced before, or whatever it is, but take action around it. Because it's only of value when we actually implement things in our lives. So we're going to just do maybe a 30-second practice. We're going to do a mantra, and so this just means light. Okay, so I'm going to chant, and for some of you who haven't done chanting before, it might feel strange or weird, but just chant it slowly, gently, or just listen to what I'm saying. All this word means is light. So just close your eyes and we'll do it a few times. Yanur, 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 Yanur. And just keep your eyes closed. Sometimes chanting feels strange the first time because the mind is kind of, what's this about? But it actually has quite a healing, calming, centering effect. One of the things I would say about my own journey in meditation is that it's through a sound meditation. That's what enabled me to achieve silence and stillness. Okay, so look, whenever you feel ready, rub your palms together, generate lots of heat, cover your eyes, pat your body down, have a good stretch, and come back to the room, open your eyes, and I hope you enjoyed, and a huge thank you to Jayson for inviting me this evening. It's been a real pleasure to meet all of you. Thanks for the participation and the questions and the sharing, and yeah, it was a really lovely experience for me to connect with all of you this evening, and huge thanks to the awesome Jayson Moran for making that possible. And thanks to each and every one of you for showing up this evening. I hope you got something, and do stay in touch if you're inspired to do so. And best of luck with your meditation journey. It's a great one. Jayson?
Thanks so much, Calodagh. That was the way things fell with my week. That was I was absolutely perfect. I feel like a very different human at the end of that hour. Thank you very much. There was a couple of comments in the chat that people sent me, and I have a feeling one or two of them were meant for Calodagh. So Benny A, there was a message to me, and I'm guessing that you meant to send that to Calodagh. So just to let you know, if you want to send it on to her, I won't read it out, obviously. And the same with Mary Conroy a little bit earlier as well, just in case. So I suppose, Calodagh, do you want to do a question or two, or how do you feel? I think we're kind of on the hour.
Questions there, yeah, perfect.
I have an absolute shed load of questions, but I'm kind of conscious we are going to do an interview in a little while as well on like a separate event, so I might keep some of them for them. But just, I suppose, maybe to get the ball rolling on this, we went through lots of different types of meditation today, and some of them very, very new to me. How do you decide what might be the best one for you at maybe, I suppose, generally, or in any given moment, or any advice around that, or how to figure out that kind of question? Or
it's a really good question, and I suppose it's trial and error, and it's what you're willing to do. You know, sometimes people would come to mantra and it's too weird for them. Yeah. And yeah, so it has to be something that touches you, that connects you. Sometimes there's just a connection. You know, sometimes people would say, wow, I just loved that. You know, I loved that relaxation, and they want to do more. So what I would say is, something touches you or connects with you, do more of it. Yeah. And, you know, just in general, as I said, sometimes people need to be fired up, and sometimes people need to be cooled down. So sometimes with mantra, it's not just the mantra, but it's how you chant it. You can chant something more slowly. You can chant something more quickly. It would have an entirely different impact. It's the same with breathing practices. Some of them are more energizing, and some of them can be more calming, just in terms of how we do them and how we execute them. Yeah. But what I would say is that, you know, just build it up slowly. Do a little bit, try and maybe make it a hobby first, and then make it a practice. You know, do what you love, do it a few minutes. Don't force the discipline too early, you know, because sometimes we kind of say, oh, I have to meditate, and, you know, it becomes another thing to beat ourselves up about. So make it a hobby, and then make it something, a practice. Like when I first discovered came upon the mantra meditation, I just really connected with it, and that has enabled me to, you know, open the door for all other types of meditation, like breathing and different types. And I just love that, just that experience of visiting peace, visiting calm. They all take me to that same place within myself.
Awesome. I'm going to open to the floor if anyone else has any other questions, but I suppose my final one anyway for this evening. Do you think, with kind of two parts to it, one, do you think this is something that you can learn about through reading as well? And two, if you do you have a favorite book on the topic or?
I know, I definitely think reading can enhance pretty much most experiences. Meditation, like any practice, it's best experienced through practice, yeah. But a book would be a good signpost, yeah. And obviously they give instructions and they share experiences. So one of my favorite books on meditation, it's called Meditation and Mantra, yeah. It's written by one of these Indian yogis, but it's a great book. And I would also say to look at different books on breathing. A lot of people are into breathing as well, and just maybe go to Google and just see whichever one you're most attracted to. There's a lot of really good books on breathing. And then some people are quite into the mindfulness route. You know, there's a lot of different books on MBSR. So you maybe Google that and see whichever one touches you or inspires you the most. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Any questions from the floor before we finish up?
I put my number and my email there. So those two people that had the one-on-one questions, just get in touch with me. I'll be happy to follow up with you.
Awesome. And we'll share everything in an email for everyone who registered as well. And we'll share the video, etc.
Great.
Cool. Anyone else going once, going twice? Okay. So I will finish up on that. I just stuck some links in the chat in terms of the meetup, if you're not already a member, to join, and about the next two meetups. The next free one is June 20th, Fighting Better Positive Conflict and Relationships with Rich Haler from New York. Really looking forward to that. Rich is an awesome dude. And I'm running an in-person workshop on June 11th called But I Don't Feel Like Doing It. And it's a workshop for behavior change. We'd love to see you there. And other than that, I'd like to say thanks very much to everyone for coming down. Especially thank you to Calodagh. That was awesome. It was one of my favorite meetups. I genuinely feel like a changed human afterwards. And other than that, thank you very, very much. And we'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks, hopefully. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.